Perseus had one rule: never look at Medusa. Not her face, not her eyes, not even for a second, because one direct look could turn him to stone. Medusa wasn't just dangerous, she was almost impossible to fight. Her hair was made of living snakes. Her stare carried a deadly curse. Anyone who looked directly at her was transformed into stone. And somehow, Perseus had been given a mission to kill her. But there was a problem. How do you fight something you can't look at? Perseus knew that courage alone wouldn't be enough. A sword wouldn't help if he couldn't safely see his target. So the gods gave him something far more useful. Athena gave him a polished shield. Not an ordinary shield. Its surface was bright enough to act almost like a mirror. Hermes provided winged sandals. Perseus also received magical equipment to help him survive the journey. Every gift had one purpose: keep Perseus alive long enough to reach Medusa. But the hardest part was still waiting. Perseus traveled across the sea. Behind him were the lands he knew. Ahead was a place almost no hero wanted to visit: the island where Medusa lived. As he approached, the world seemed to become quieter. No crowds, no armies, just wind, rocks, and the distant sound of waves. Then Perseus saw something: a statue, then another, and another. There weren't statues at all. They were people, heroes who had looked at Medusa and lost. Perseus entered the cave. The light disappeared behind him. The walls were covered in shadows, and everywhere he looked, there were stone bodies, warriors, travelers, people who had come here believing they could defeat her. But Perseus didn't look around normally. He kept his eyes on the shield. He watched the reflection, step by step, slowly, carefully. Then, something moved inside the reflection. Perseus stopped. A snake, then another, then dozens. Medusa was there. She was sleeping. Her snake-covered head rested against the stone. Perseus could have looked directly at her, just once, but that would have been enough. So he didn't. He watched her reflection instead. Every movement appeared inside the polished shield. Medusa shifted. The snakes moved. Perseus waited. His sword slowly rose. One mistake, and everything would be over. Perseus took one final step. He looked only at the reflection. He raised his sword and struck. One movement, one strike, then silence. Medusa was defeated. Perseus never looked directly into her eyes. He had defeated the monster by refusing to fight her on her terms. And that's where the story becomes even stranger. From Medusa's death came something unexpected. Perseus escaped carrying his severed head. Even in death, its power remained. Anyone who looked directly at it could still be turned to stone. The weapon that had once made Medusa terrifying had now become Perseus' weapon. He hadn't simply defeated Medusa. He had taken the very thing that made her dangerous and turned it against his enemies. Perseus didn't defeat Medusa by being stronger. He defeated her by being smarter. He never gave her gaze the opportunity to win. He didn't look directly at the monster. He looked at her reflection, and that simple trick changed everything. He defeated a monster without ever looking directly at her. If you want another Greek myth breakdown, subscribe for the next story.